Interesting times. Joining us now to discuss this is foreign policy analyst Bolu Michael-Biyi, and he joins from Abidjan, Ivory Coast, Côte d'Ivoire. Well, you're welcome aboard, Bolu, and Happy New Year to you. Let's get started by just, if search orders are not followed by the Presidential Security Service, what does that signify for this investigation?
Well, it shows that it would mean that South Korea is having a problem with rule of law. And, the basic principle of rule of law is that everybody is equal at the law. So it would also imply that the President's Security Service, they are prioritizing the protection of one individual as against following the mandates of the legal authorities, and that definitely is going to undermine the authority of the investigators, and that's going to is going to set a very negative precedence for South Korea in the sense that it would not present them in a positive light in before the international community as they begin to question the commitment of South Korea to the values of democracy. And what we can see playing out right now is the tussle between the security forces and also legal authority.
Right. And what are South Koreans' thoughts on the demonstrations and President Yoon's impeachment? Does this have any impact on public opinion, just seeing the protests outside and his supporters, championing him up and speaking up for his behalf?
Well, it reflects that there's a division in the society. Some are supporting the president, and some want him out. And the fact that we are seeing protests taking place shows that it's currently a divided society right now. And I personally wouldn't trust protests taking place around the vicinity of a particular politician, because there's a potential that such protests are kind of sponsored, and that would create some level of confusion for the legal authorities and also the international community, as they will be wondering exactly what's going on ground and what's the position of the people of South Korea, what their position really is. But if this division continues, there's going to be a lack of trust in the public institutions, as well as it could affect the political stability in the country, and it could lead to civil unrest due to frustration of supporters of people who want the president to be impeached.
It's a new year, and January 6th is just around the corner. That's a deadline for the arrest warrant. And how important is this date? What could happen if it isn't carried out by that deadline?
Well, yeah, the January 6th deadline is a legal cutoff, and the effect of that, if it's missed, is that it could render the warrant, ineffective, and I think that's what the government might try to do, delay tactics to ensure that it's ineffective, and that could lead to the frustration of the entire process, the court system, the people of South Korea who want the president gone, and such legal tussles that they don't rub off the positive way, in a positive light for a country like South Korea. Such situations are on South Korea. We don't hear of things like this often in South Korea. It's known to have a relatively stable democracy compared to many places in the world. And if it's defied, it will embolden the public as well as political actors to defy the authority of the courts. And that's not a good precedent at all, for a country that's tried to maintain a good reputation for quite a long time.
And how do you think other nations will perceive South Korea's predicament, especially if the government is unable to detain President Yoon or even hold him accountable for his actions? Korea is huge for Southeast Asia and even for a global stage. Just watching this all play out, how do you think other nations perceive them?
Yeah, even though it's quite rare to see South Korea in this kind of situation. It's not political character to be facing this kind of challenges. And I think the biggest reaction will come from allies. They will begin to question South Korea's commitment to democratic principles, the democratic values that stand for. South Korea is one of the countries in Asia that are really kind of liberal in a lot of ways. There are parts of South Korea that you go to, you think you're in the United States. They're quite liberal in their views and their way of doing things. And if this continues, businesses would be worried because we'd be afraid of political instability, and they might be thinking of pulling out the country, and it would affect the country's tourism industry, and also it would prevent investments from coming into the country temporarily. But they also have an opportunity to turn the history in their favor. If they're able to handle this issue very well and in a mature way, it will show that South Korea is capable of self-correction.
Well, we wait to see what will happen by January 6th. So fingers crossed, all eyes on South Korea. Bolu, many thanks for doing this with us. And then once again, Happy New Year to you.
I would do the same. Thank you for having me.
Bolu Michael-Biyi, their foreign affairs analyst, is giving us a closer look and some insight into South Korea.